Hi there, you are back at Ask Rafah, where your problems are answered, where any problems related to relationships, life and core, I help you to solve as your life guide. Anyhow, I have got a letter here from a Laura who actually has written in telling me that she's extremely stressed out in her relationship with her husband or her partner, because while they're both in the mid-50s, she's not really coping very well at work, and she feels that her partner is actually not being very supportive and she's very stressed out. And it says here, I work in a very busy marketing environment and department, but that said, because 2 people have recently left, my boss keeps on dumping everything on me. Now we all know what that feels like, and I know from my experience and other people's experiences around me, there are times when bosses don't realize the extra overload that people are just being piled on and the repercussions of that. But let's see what else she says. And she says here, I'm exhausted, but when I try to explain how awful it is to my partner or tell him that I'm too tired to do much over the weekend, he just tells me to stand up to my boss more, and then he will, and what he seems to do is still continues to arrange things so we can do things together on a weekend. My partner is a lovely man and in many ways but understanding, but he seems not to understand this particular point. And as he also has quite a full-time, a quite full-on full-time job, she says here, I think he just probably thinks that it is how life is. Okay, so let me first really pull out actually, Laura, what I think is very important for you to do here. Okay, I've made some notes. I tend to make some notes prior to my vlog, and I'm just going to have a quick look. Okay, here what you really need to do is speak out. Okay, I know that you've spoken out already to your partner, but clearly he has a difference of opinion and ideas, and I think this is where you really need actually to think about where you both need to sit down and write your values, all right? When our values differ with each other, particularly in a partnership, they can cause a lot of friction and a lot of disparity about being the support that we need to have. So I think you need to take some nice time out together and write a list in your own time together, maybe over a drink or after a meal or whatever, something nice after a walk or something, where you have the clarity of mind and really take some time to actually really clearly write what your values are. So your values might be, actually, I like to work part-time hours, or I actually like not to have to work so full on each day and every day. Well, your partner might actually thrive on a lot of each and lots of stuff every day. Okay, people have different needs. My previous partner, loved to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work really early. I couldn't stand the idea of going to work that early for anybody. I don't care what it is, I just wouldn't do it. Okay, so different values, and what happens is they will clash. I used to get very upset with my partner for setting the alarm clock so early in the morning, and me having to be disrupted by that every day. Okay, so you need to come to terms with a bit of a compromise. Now, the other thing I really want to highlight is I really feel that by speaking up, you can maybe start engaging in expressing your differences. Okay. The other thing I feel that's quite important that you need to speak up about, and I find that this to be the case for many people, especially when it comes to employers, is that we're afraid to tell our employers our truth and speak up our truth. Okay. That is just so important. Really, I don't understand how people, I do understand actually, so it's not wholly true at all, but I think it's a real shame when we tend to, oops, all right, I just got to get my notes up from the chakra drawing. I had the wrong drawing up, so I'm going to continue. Sorry about that. As you know, those who follow me on Ask Rafah, the core bit I do is about the chakras, which is going to really help you tune up so you can actually take some of this advice and take it further. Because sometimes what happens is when we give people advice, you've got it all in your head, but you haven't got it in your body, okay? And what the chakras do is help us to recalibrate, tune up and strengthen all the stuff that we tend to battle with, and we find where our weakness is, clearly, because this wouldn't be happening if it was. And it really helps to recharge and recalibrate our inner strength, our inner core, to start leading the life that we really want to lead. Okay, it happens on a very subtle energetic level, and it really, really makes a difference. So I'm going to have to put my video back on for this, as I lost the video. Okay, so here we are with the chakra system, and I'll come back to that in a minute. So what I was saying was, it is really important that you speak your truth to your boss, okay? And this is also to your partner as well. Now, I know that you've spoken to your partner already, and I'm wondering if it is, and I've got here, this is you, Laura, all right? This is where you need to, and this is for anybody, this is where we speak up. Very important to have a voice, okay? Now, your voice needs to be heard, and it needs to be validated, and there is a way of speaking up and speaking our truth so it can be received properly, okay? And that is without blame, and you don't go into, oh, but you never listen to me, and every time I speak to you, you don't listen and stuff, because I can guarantee the first thing that's going to happen, your partner's ears are going to shut down, and is going to get into defense mode. So how we speak up and how we voice our truth is very important, and you might actually want to angle it from by taking the power back and sort of saying that actually what's really important for me right now, you know, you use your words, me, I, what I need, okay, what I need from you, and you speak from your heart, okay? And what is truth, truth never lies, okay? Now, one thing you did mention about, despite the fact that you've expressed your need and have already spoken up to your partner about the weekends, he keeps on arranging things for you to be involved with, okay? Now, he's not taking on what you're expressing, which is your kind of powerhouse here, for real, okay? And also what I'm imagining is you're making this, okay, like a fuzzy power. I think what you've done is you've lost, I'm going to put black here, oops, you've got, oop, again, you've lost your power, I would say, okay? This is your power center, all right? Because although you are actually speaking up, you're actually not honoring your truth. You're not, you know, you're not living by your boundaries. If you actually really mean what you're saying, like, I'm too tired to do at the weekends, you want to check in with yourself as to why you're giving in. Why are you appeasing him? Why are you not honoring yourself? These are the questions to ask yourself. Perhaps you need to go inward and ask yourself, what is it about me that goes along with what somebody else has asked me to do or is putting upon me? Which brings me back to the same issue with your boss. So what's happening in your home life is also reflected in your outer life, in your work life, which is quite typical for a lot of us, and vice versa as well. So whatever's happening in your work life, I can guarantee that's happening in your home life. Okay, so your power center here, Laura, is very weak. Okay, so I'm going to, we need to strengthen this. Okay, we need to strengthen this into a beautiful power center. Oops. Okay, really beautiful. So you're really strong, and your power is recognized. Okay, you want to match your partner's power. He's the one who's at the moment sort of stating what needs to happen at the weekends, but you are actually going along with it. So like I said, you are actually losing power here. So we need to gain traction and your esteem back, because your boundaries are weak between you and your partner and your boss. All right, what else will I say? One thing that comes to mind actually, which is kind of, I would say your root chakra is quite weak as well, because I can't help but somebody who tends to hand their power over here as well with a voice, despite that you are actually speaking up and not being heard, is that somehow you are attached to some tribal law that had been imposed on you, which means possibly that, you know, you don't have the right to be heard, or even if you spoke up as a child, it fell on deaf ears. And what happens is sometimes we end up communicating with that programming in our being. Okay, so it's really important that these are very subtle unconscious behavior patterns that tend to be inherent in us as we grow up, and we carry it all the way into our 50s, 60s, 70s if we don't actually look at what's upsetting us. Now, this particular crisis, Laura, has happened to you for a reason. And I'm sure that this is not the first time that you possibly have come to this. But the other thing is, when we hit a certain time in our lives, we can't cope, and we shouldn't have to be coping with the level of intensity of life, because really, you know, our bodies are changing, you know, we're maturing in a way that we just haven't got the energy or whatever it is to do what we were able to do in our 20s and 30s, certainly in our 50s. So you really need, so this is an opportunity now for you to break that pattern. All right, very important. And I'd really like you to, I want to really consider what root tribal beliefs have you absorbed from your family. And I'm absolutely certain this discord is happening from here and is working its way up into your throat and everything else, in fact, you know, maybe even to do with your heart, where your emotions aren't being met by your partner as well. So I'm only concentrating really on 3 key areas. Okay, in fact we'll do 4 here since I've got the heart chakra. Okay, your commitment to yourself is very important. Self-love, very important. Okay, you will probably only get the love back from your partner in the level that you want it to be when you start tending to your self-love. And this goes for everybody as well. We tend to want our partners to be the village that we've come out of. Okay, back in the day, everyone had a massive amount of people to support us with various things. Times have changed. I'm not going to go into that kind of paradigm of how much relationships have changed. We're now into this sort of equality where, yes, the woman's working and the man's working too, but there seems to be a disparity and also an inequality. Now, you don't actually say anything, luckily, that you do more than his share in the home. You haven't actually expressed any of that, but what you have expressed is your emotional needs typically are not being met. And I think that will start with you, that you need to really engage in some good old self-love. Now ask yourself, what would self-love look like to me? All right. Now, as your life guide, I will have you take some time to reflect that. But I think also, and this would vary for everybody, everyone's need for self-love is different. For some people, it's a nice hot bath, you know, maybe asking your partner to bring some hot drink in the morning. That is a form of, you know, loving yourself and communicating the truth around that. And also, you know, self-love could also mean, actually in your case, Laura, is to actually definitely stick to your boundaries here. All right. And then engage and why is this not working? Okay, you know, engage in your boundary level of the weekend. I'll start there, okay, because you've mentioned this in your letter, so clearly you need some time off. Now also, I think what would be really good for you, rather than you dictating to your partner, well, this is what I need and that's what I need and you have to do this and you have to do that, which is kind of where we go when we get really stressed out, is possibly have a beautiful kind of together boundaries and discussion. That's not really quite the word I'm thinking of, but where you can actually maybe put a verbal or commitment contract to yourself and the relationship. All right, very important here, because I feel that in some way that this is very important. So maybe you can actually sort of let him know that, sorry, I'm looking at my batteries flashing, the battery light is flashing. I don't know if it's going to be running out or it is going to cut out on me, so I'm just going to continue very quickly. That I would like you to think about honoring yourself and really sticking to that personal honor code for yourself. Very important. Okay, just say no to the weekends, and maybe you just want to actually carve out, come to a compromise that you'll have 2 weekends to yourself till you catch up with your energy level. Okay, you might also maybe want to get some takeaways instead of actually cooking a meal. Again, I don't know, or him taking some time to do the food cooking. Like I said, there's been no mention of the domestic arrangement. I would also say, just say no to your partner and leave at a certain time. Put yourself a boundary code of how far you're going to work, how long you're going to work, and how much you're going to take on. And maybe start speaking up for yourself to your boss and express very gently but powerfully that you need to engage in a less workload situation, as it's affecting your work performance as well as your personal home life. And this is something that he needs to take on, and this is what you're going to do. All right. If you find your boss not to be accommodating, or is a sort of bully, or whatever it is that people tend to find themselves up against, I really start recommending that you start looking for a job elsewhere or start taking care of your needs that way. And that is also a pure form of self-commitment and self-love that you can really engage in. Okay, let me see if there's anything else that I really need. You need to just clearly express yourself powerfully and clearly, and be open to what you need. Okay, when we start being open to what we need, we actually will get the support that we need, and you'll be surprised at how much that could happen. And again, if not, that's the clarity that you need as to maybe what changes that you need to make within yourself in your life to be able to move on, because nobody has to live under those very stressful conditions, and nobody can sustain it. It's okay, it's not a sustainable situation, which is clearly what has happened. So these are the 4 chakras I really recommend. Like I said, we're going to talk about your throat chakra and the 4 keys here, the self-love. There'll be affirmations and a meditation and sound chanting that's going to help you tune up, strengthen and activate these chakras, so you can actually really start living out of those intentions and changes you want to make. And we will look at maybe discarding some of the tribal law that I really feel that maybe this is where it has come from. Okay, because I would imagine that there's some guilt attached to that, and we tend to not realize that that's where we are managing or sort of performing in our lives. Okay, moving on from the chakra, moving on from here, actually from the chakras, I am also so aware of my camera wanting to quit on me, so I am speeding up, and I will be doing a quick card pull on this for you as well. Okay, I do tarot readings. I offer life guidance readings as well for tarot and oracle cards, and I can answer also just questions that anybody wants to. All my details are below, that you can just book me in for a reading, and they're all also on my website. I have different readings that I offer. Okay, so we've got the first card. Yes, I love it. I love it when the cards do pop out. All right, okay, this is a 3-card spread, and there'll be an extension and a longer version of the full-blown reading that you can actually have, that will help you move through the situation. We'll see what advice that the cards give, which I really love, and see if it correlates with any of the messages I've just passed on, or rather advice that I have given you. Okay, we've got one more card. All right, let's have a look. Oh, 2 have come up. Very interesting. Okay. Yeah, beautiful. I mean, these short card readings actually give you, has given me quite, a full-on actual thing. Reading in itself, in its own, this is like a mini reading, okay? But the extended version will give you more cards, maybe about how you can approach it as well, and what else, maybe your soul, why it is a soul journey right now for you in this way, because this has come up for a reason. How you can actually possibly even, what you can surrender, maybe what else, whatever cards I choose. I haven't decided what oracle cards we will be looking at. But your first card, Laura, is it is time for you to let go of the burden. Okay, look at this. It's time. The card is ripe. All right. And in fact, this is sort of in yourself, in the past area that you're just coming from or whatever, which also informs me. And it was inverted. I don't really read inverted cards, but sometimes I will look at it as well. And in some way, you are slowing down what is already gone past the ripeness. Okay, so this is why you're actually really stressed out. All right, because, you should have left this situation or said no a long time ago, but it has now gone chronic, and this is actually disturbing you. Okay, for some reason you have decided, we've got this card again as the previous reading, and for some reason you think this is your mind, this is you being under the illusion that you can't have what you want. If you look at all the colors of the blue there, that's very much connected to your throat chakra, and this isn't a time for you to open your eyes, really be clear about your reality and see clearly what needs to go. You are the master of your life and the reality that you want to have. Okay, so I would suggest that you make the changes, which is very clear here, and open yourself up to being this butterfly as well. Tune in. You have also the third eye here, and really start imaging what you would like to, and what kind of life, which is, like I said, about the values that you want to bring in. Be really honest, and stop living under somebody else's agenda, okay, of what they think you should be living your life, and also your partners. This is an opportunity for you to actually carve out the life you really want. Okay, people are meant to stay in your life, be it your boss or your partner, will stay. All right, we've got to stop compromising ourselves to so much so that this is where you're at. You see, look at that. All right, this is also a really indicative of how your mind, you're not even grounded. There's so much noise in your mind. You're extremely stressed out, and this is definitely not a sustainable way of living. Okay, and this is very much the situation you're very much moved into. All right, since 2 cards have taken, I'm going to take those 2 as together. Okay, there's 2 central cards. So by you not following what you know to be true, this is where you've hit yourself. Okay, and you're heading into exhaustion. All right, and a mental thing. And what's also important is here, I'm looking at the mouth, and what's happening is you're not opening your mouth in the direction that you need to. All right, you need to speak up. All right, use your mouth to create the life you want. You have all the solutions in your mind, but at the moment you're actually living somebody else's. Okay, now finally, and what's beautiful is here, you're going to have to work on, like I said earlier on, your solar plexus. This is the point of courage and your strength, and also your heart chakra. All right, it came out actually on the inverted, which means you're not actually accessing the courage that it needs to take, but it is time. The fact that this has come up for you, and for us to be able to turn it over, we definitely need to work. There's some kind of weak focal point that you have here in yourself, and you're not allowing yourself to grow from the roots. All right, yeah, and you're not on your own with this. Whatever changes that you make, you're going to actually making a huge difference, not only for yourself, but this will actually really make you flower into something that you had forgotten, long forgotten, how you deserve to shine and stuff. And it will take courage, but I really recommend that you take charge of your life. And no matter what difficulty you might think that this is coming from, you do have the power to make the changes, and courage is calling you. So we will work on the chakras, all right? With the meditation, like I said, there'll be visualization, mantras, sounds that will help you shift into a place of courage. And I will design the mantras to fit anybody who finds themselves stuck in a situation, too afraid to speak up, too afraid to move on, too afraid to do the right thing by you, that you will strengthen these chakras, which are your voice box, your throat chakra, your heart for self-love, your solar plexus for boundaries, parameters, what you really want, honoring your power and such like, and definitely the root chakra, because really the time is right for you to let go of this busyness and move into a space of courage. So very encouraging. Thank you, Laura, for writing in. Anybody else, actually, please do write in with your problems. Well, I will do the first person, in fact, who writes in the week after it's posted, or within the week that it's posted, I will answer your question for free. And post it up on YouTube. You can change your name so you are not recognized if it is your problem, or you can give me an alias name. Otherwise, the forms are all on my website under Ask Rafah. And I will also, of course, you will get a free reading, and you will have the key to a free reading, and you will also able to do your personal healing, chakra healing, that without having to pay for it on Vimeo. Everybody else, if this resonates with you, do go there for the extended reading, to Vimeo for the healing. Okay, we all need it. This is not exclusive to you alone. This is something that affects many hundreds of people, many of us, particularly women, but also men as well. We have been raised, we have been conditioned to believe in a certain way, and it's not true how we need to live. So take charge, take command, and really liberate yourself and live a liberated life. Thanks for coming here. This is Ask Rafah, where your problems are answered, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.